another edition of Wrestling Sheet Radio. I'm your host, ProWrestlingSheet.com editor-in-chief Ryan Satin, here with my co-hosts, Jamie Iovine.
Hey, everybody.
As well as Elijah Bates.
I'm fart-free today.
Well, we got an hour here, Eli. Don't jinx yourself.
That's true.
I believe in you.
And now this room's a little more soundproof. Well,
is that the purpose?
Well,
sound and closing?
Sound and closing, I guess, is a better word. Yeah. So it'll be heard probably even louder if it happens this time.
We could sing.
Basically, this room where we shoot this show is also where they shoot Collider Live every day here at Collider. And the set behind you guys and all of us here, it was much more dedicated to Collider Live for a while. Like when we first came here, it was just the black kind of things on the wall, the soundproof kind of like pads.
Oh, right, yeah.
But then they added all this stuff for Collider Live, and I think a lot of people were kind of like, hey, it's the podcast room.
I'm glad they kept the John Schnepp portrait, though.
Yes, totally.
That's the god himself.
Yeah, totally.
May he rest in peace.
I love it. My first thing I did in here was an interview that I posted today with Rocky Romero, and it feels more calming with the black.
Yeah.
There's not like random, movie things everywhere.
I do feel like we're in a theater of sorts, and that the curtain is going to be drawn open.
I mean, it does give that. It does have that vibe a little bit.
Sure.
Speaking of behind the curtain, let's talk about the biggest story of the week, which obviously happened today, and that is Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff returning to prominence. This is crazy to me. So it was announced this morning. It was first reported by Sports Illustrated that Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff will be the new executive directors of Raw and SmackDown, respectively.
Wow.
And Paul Heyman's executive director of Raw, Eric Bischoff, executive director of SmackDown Live. And then the press release stated that both men will still report to Vince McMahon. The press release said in their executive roles, Heyman and Bischoff will oversee the creative development of WWE's flagship programming and ensure integration across all platforms and lines of business. The creation of these roles further establishes WWE's ability to continuously reinvent its global brand while providing two distinct creative processes for its flagship show.
So for a few things, this sounds a lot more encompassing just than deciding what is going to happen in the TV show that night.
Correct.
Like this seems like it's going to be not only that, but marketing. I mean, I have no idea, but I mean, it could be like marketing, business ventures and
brand management in a lot of ways.
That is the vibe that I get at this point. Obviously, from what
that's a big task. I don't know if anybody's had that much responsibility before.
So, just before you guys got here,
other than Vince, obviously,
and I want to touch on that as well. What you just said, but before you guys got here, I posted a story on the site. Kind of like a few more details that I was able to get, and I'm told that it's going to be a slow process. That they're not just like on Monday, Heyman's in charge of Raw. They're going to slowly assimilate back into the process. Heyman has been working behind the scenes for a while now. Since he was kind of there with all the Ronda Rousey stuff, and he's been he's had his hand in different things, but he still has to assimilate everything, and what I was told is everything is still going through Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
But I do think you're right, Jamie. I do think that it is with the hopes, if they actually go through with this and Vince steps back a little bit, that the hope is that the shows will have two distinctive vibes as opposed to feeling like they're both just Vince McMahon's shows.
Yeah, it was a very interesting call. I mean, this is by no means this is not me saying that they didn't make the right decision. It was just so interesting to me because for two reasons. One, Heyman's been with the company since 2012,
13,
maybe even earlier than that.
Yeah.
And he hasn't had any sort of real position in the company other than on-air talent in quite some time.
But he has had this
No, but any official position?
Not official. No. Nothing official.
They haven't put him on the payroll in that sense.
Yes.
And also Bischoff.
Influence, I guess, is a better way of putting it.
Yeah, consultant maybe.
Yeah.
And Bischoff has been out of active wrestling profession, like talking about it, sure, but been out of the wrestling game for over at least 2 decades now.
Yeah.
Well, when was TNA wasn't 2 decades ago when he did the...
I'm sorry, I forgot about his TNA run.
That was like 5 years ago.
That
was 5 years ago.
Was that only 5 years ago when they tried to do it? When they tried to move to Monday night?
It was like 2010 when that happened, but he was with the company, I feel like, for a few years ago, or for a few years.
And that's on that end. But it is a very interesting choice. I don't get
it, to be honest with you. Like, I understand the presence that these dudes have had in the wrestling industry, but like you said, it's like they've Bischoff, for instance, has not necessarily been connected with like leading a popular brand in the wrestling industry for quite some time. You know, TNA, you can say what you want about his tenure there, but like, I think even he would probably categorize it as like not necessarily the most successful thing he's ever done. And I don't think it was necessarily his fault in that regard too. Working for Panda Energy and, you know, or whatever the parent company was, you know, was a totally different thing than basically being given a checkbook by Ted Turner and that organization. I'm dumbfounded by it.
It'll definitely shake things up. If they're given the amount of power that it says they are, we'll see very drastically different TV shows, which is what a lot of people think they need.
I mean, I don't think anybody's been super excited about WWE programming as of late, other than like Seth Rollins.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, but it's just like I'm befuddled by it. I don't know. Like,
I honestly I don't
even know what
how
to
many
say.
years have we doing the show now? It was like
four and a half, something
like
and change.
This is the most. This is the most dumbfounded you've ever been about something. Like Eli looks like he truly doesn't know what to think about the situation.
Like part of me is like, why are they doing it? Like don't get me wrong. I love both these guys, Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff. I think that periods where they were involved in leadership positions and in wrestling organizations have been, you know, some very memorable times. But like, is this a reactionary move to the low attendance lately? Is this something to throttle the momentum of AEW's prominence in the mainstream, and not only that, but like their referential nature in like the media as well? If you notice now, like not a lot of people today are obviously talking about AEW or their upcoming events as much as they're talking about like this move,
which is this weekend they have a show.
Yes, and you know. So there is part of me that's like, is this like a petty move that they're making just to throttle that momentum just right out as AEW jumps out of the gate? Is this really being done to help like the programming of WWE? Like I don't get why it's happening.
I think literally everything you said in there is parts of it.
Yeah.
Me too.
Every single thing you said.
Yeah, me too. I think it's an amalgam of all that.
Yeah.
Of all those things.
And could have been a petty shot? Wouldn't be the first time WWE's done something like that. And also, like you mentioned, this is going to be a very long integrated process. They didn't have to announce it today or tomorrow or 2 weeks from now.
Or on all their social media channels or on WWE.com or anything like that.
And
are they locking these guys down so that they don't go to work for AEW?
Well, I mean, that's obviously the...
I didn't think Heyman would ever even...
Heyman was already under contract. He wasn't leaving.
Yeah.
So we can write Heyman out of that equation,
saying.
you know?
Yeah.
Bischoff...
he didn't seem to really be interested in AEW.
Not only that, but I feel like there wouldn't be interest from the AEW side of things because, like...
What would they do with him?
Yeah, because, like, you're more of, like, a wrestling historian than me, but, like, I don't know, like, didn't Dusty kind of get replaced by Eric Bischoff and stuff? Like, not specifically, because wasn't there someone who was in between them or whatever?
In
but, like,
some ways, but, like...
He doesn't look at Eric Bischoff's WCW. He wants to be like Dusty's WCW.
Well, yeah, but I would also offer that Cody probably looks at like Monday Nitro as like a golden period WCW.
True.
Still, you know.
Yeah,
but to be honest with you, Cody is the Eric Bischoff of AEW.
Yeah.
Right? Am I crazy for that? Like, he's the one with these huge ambitions. He's kind of like the one who's going out there being the face, doing
similar
the interviews. The similar haircut, similar cocky vibe.
Yeah.
I feel like
if Bischoff was a competitor, yes.
Yeah, but
outside of the karate,
I was just gonna say he did the karate matches. Don't downplay his karate skills.
Come on, Vinny.
I also, I've been thinking about it all day. I've been talking about it a bunch. I've been texting people. It's been the main thing I've been thinking of. The Heyman thing makes the most sense to me. The Heyman thing absolutely makes the most sense to me. From what I have heard, the behind the scenes are going to be split when the Fox thing happens.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that's because Fox wants to have a say in the stuff that they're involved in. So in order for that to happen, they kind of have to have the two creative teams separate. Like Raw has its own creative team, and then SmackDown has its own creative team. And so that would be a lot for a 73-year-old dude in Vince McMahon to handle. And I know he's not human, but
here's the thing, though, too. Like Eric, like nothing against Eric Bischoff or Paul Heyman. Neither of them are super young. Like Heyman's younger, I think, than Eric Bischoff is, but Eric Bischoff's not a spring chicken by any means.
Yeah, you're right. The Heyman thing, though, before I get into the Bischoff stuff, the Heyman thing, regardless of age or whatever, I think that, when Heyman didn't want to wasn't involved in creative anymore, I think that it was just a different Heyman. Like, Heyman has grown over the years, and he's not that, he's similar to how he used to be, but he's not that same guy. He's learned how to navigate the WWE system. He's not the same, cocky, this is my ECW guy.
Yeah.
I think that he knows how to navigate the political waters a little better now, and he will be good at talking to Vince in a way to convince him that, to see his vision as well. That's what Heyman does best. He's great at talking people into seeing his vision.
Yeah.
And so if he can do that throughout the whole card and not just with the main event program like Brock or Ronda like he's been doing, to me, that's a very smart decision if you're gonna, if you want someone to be places the figurehead.
It's like I said earlier, this is going to be real. If they truly get the power that it says they are, then I think it's going to be due for some really interesting television, at the very least.
And I think that you're right and I think everybody thinks this too. It's it is time to shake things up. It's people are not interested in the product like the company would prefer that they would be. That's why they had to tarp off half the Tacoma Dome or whatever for this past week's pay-per-view. That's why nobody's going to go back and watch Stomping Ground, guys. I didn't watch Stomping Ground.
You didn't watch it?
No, I have no interest in watching it.
It was actually a really good show.
I didn't watch the main event.
No, but I just I got to the point where I was just I don't want to watch Baron Corbin versus...
Well, the rest of the show was really good.
I believe you.
I enjoyed the main event
I
too,
believe you,
personally.
but the road to getting there, I was no. Thank you. I'm good.
But because of that vibe, the wrestlers were they were on fire. They were they knew that a majority of people felt that way, and they were fired up.
I totally understand that, but it's just hey, sorry, I just wasn't
Yeah.
I just watched the last pay-per-view 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted by it,
and
I don't want to watch Baron Corbin and Seth Rollins in the ring anymore at all. I don't want to watch Baron Corbin, you guys. And I'm not a Baron Corbin.
Kept getting more and more refined.
I'm not a hater.
Is it really true? I saw that rumor that somebody heard Vince say that he sees Baron Corbin as somebody that all the girls want.
Yeah, I saw that he gets a push because of good looks. I don't know. I don't know.
Vince doesn't like bald people. That's clear.
But I did love the kayfabe.
Austin, I guess.
Yeah, I did love when kayfabe news posted that link to that story though, and they said something like, we didn't write this, but we have sent a legal letter to them, a cease and desist letter to them for copyright infringement or something like that.
We didn't write this. But it's if that's the case, man,
who knows?
That's hysterical.
Although they did have that moment on Raw where Lacey Evans and Baron Corbin, remember he said something we could be the next power couple of WWE, and then she did a kind of brushed, kind of wiped off.
Hey, let's ignore all of Lacey Evans' Instagram posts leading up until her call up, which was of her family.
Yeah, still is all the time. Yeah. And back to the Bischoff thing. Okay, now I know we've talked here a bunch. Heyman makes sense, but I don't think Bischoff. The more and more I think about it, the more sense it does kind of make to me. Going into the Fox stuff. You know, I do believe that Fox is going to have more of a say than USA ever had.
Yeah.
I was likening it to these Saudi shows, not as controversial, obviously, but they're paying for these Saudi shows.
Yeah.
They're going to be involved in the creative process of it. I have a feeling that Fox is the same way.
Yeah,
and we're paying you $1 billion.
And
We're
Bischoff,
going to be involved.
Bischoff,
can work with
he's diplomatic.
Diplomatic.
He can work with networks.
He can work with networks. He's diplomatic.
I think that I feel like you're right. Bischoff's there more to navigate that channel of diplomacy of their relationship taking form and taking off with Fox. The relationship that they have with the USA Network thus far and everything like that. They've got a solid relationship. They're still delivering the highest ratings for the network. Mm-hmm. And they've consistently done that pretty much the entire time that Raw, ever since the Attitude Era, especially. Regardless of whether the ratings have dipped, ebbed and flowed over the years, they've still consistently gotten USA Network their best ratings. So
it's when it's entirely different numbers, but it's when people say, we're not watching nobody watched the Super Bowl this year, and then you put it it was down from 20 million to 13, which is still a lot of people.
Well, and it's still and then it's funny. I remember you posted something a couple weeks ago that was basically the desperation of two headlines where it was Raw's ratings sink lower than ever, and then it was I can't remember. It was Deadline.
I know exactly what it was. It was a wrestling site being Raw ratings in the tank or whatever, you were saying, and then it was an actual TV ratings website that was
something like that.
WWE remains atop its throne, like blah 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 blah, and you're like, I'm gonna follow the ratings site who tracks all of television.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. So like, and to some extent too, with like if they had to pass the leadership of Paul Heyman by the people at USA Network. All I got to do is look at the segments that he's likely to be involved with. Obviously, they're skewed a bit because they have Brock in them as well. But if you look at the audience reaction when Paul Heyman comes out and the energy that he brings to the table, they probably see that and they're like, well, if he can do this on screen, maybe he can help behind the scenes and help people kind of evoke that same kind of reaction.
Crazy thought. What if Paul Heyman finally gets Roman over? Like in terms of with like the adult crowd.
It's a really good. Well, he's a SmackDown guy now, though, right?
But he's like wild card.
Wild card.
Because Paul loves Roman.
I think the wild card's over, guys. I don't think they announced any wild cards. Someone said they said it before Kofi's entrance on Raw, but I didn't hear them mention it besides that. And I was paying closer attention during SmackDown. They didn't mention the wild card rule once. I think it's pretty much over.
All the tag team champions were on Raw.
I know. That's what I mean. I think the brand split's just over. Like it seems to me like they're like, nah, I don't think we need to mention this wild card rule thing anymore.
We still need 4 tag team titles.
Trust me, I'm wondering the same thing.
It's just a deck full of wild cards.
Although speaking to that, I should play this clip from Inside the Ropes.
It would be kind of better though if they mixed up a deck of cards of all the talent, and whoever they drew was the guy who gets to go on the other show.
I saw someone tweet today saying like that it would be the highest rated Raw in a long time if they let Heyman and Bischoff do an actual draft for real. And
that
pick, like,
would
who they'd want on their brands for real,
yeah.
And explain like why, and then like in the show they explain like what they're gonna do to make their shows different. It's too wrestling-y, but I would love it.
Yeah.
I would love it.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be a great 3 hours. That's 3 hours I would legit enjoy.
Yeah, people,
Me too.
Average viewers or people who don't watch wrestling would tune to this and be like, "This is wrestling."
That's why. That's why. Yeah. So Eric Bischoff did an interview he did like one of those live stage shows with Inside the Ropes, and I thought this was relevant to the discussion. I think it was back when the brand split first happened, but like I said, it was Inside the Ropes. I'm gonna play it. It's a minute and a half. Yeah, or you'll hear it, Jamie. But I thought that it's him talking about what he would do to make the shows feel different, Raw and SmackDown during the brand split.
But I think after going through my own experience and then having been a part of the WWE's experience, the advice that I have would be to be as disciplined as you can possibly be at keeping the brands distinct. If you don't make them feel completely different, it won't work. And part of that is creating stakes. Part of that is it's got to feel real. It's got to be believable. Or
Oh, wait, no, what happened?
Be believable. Or
to it. There we go.
But don't let the talent start transitioning back and forth because you dilute the concept. They won't feel like 2 brands. They'll just feel like 2 different shows, which is what they already feel like. Because the WWE does such a great job of producing such a phenomenal show, it doesn't feel... It's almost too perfect. There's no grit. It needs to feel a little gritty. At least one of them. They don't both have to feel gritty, but one of them has to feel a little edgy, a little dangerous, like something's going to happen that you wouldn't expect on one show because it's a little less sophisticated. That's the magic. And if they both start feeling very well produced, almost glossy in their presentation, and the talent is jumping back and forth, I won't give it 6 months. You won't hear the term brand extension 6 months from now. It'll suffer the same fate that it suffered the last time they tried it, because that's what happened the last time they tried it.
Which is funny because now that we're
the same thing that happened
the
with the
same
wild
thing
card,
has now happened with the wild card rule.
6 weeks instead of 6 months.
Yeah, and this was I think years ago when the brand expansion first happened or whatever. But still,
no, I'm talking about the wild card.
Oh yeah. And I think he's right. Like that is whenever they do a brand extension or split, that is always when it's over. Yeah. When they start to do that, you're like, well, they're the same show now. There's no difference.
Like, and if you go back even further, when they did their iteration of ECW, The first show, it was like, this is in a big arena. This is not an ECW show. This is a WWE show
This is a
called
zombie.
ECW. Yeah,
This is a zombie walking out live.
I remember like the parts of ECW that they pulled into the arena was like, oh, they've got like this small ECW entrance and everything. It's like, but it's not it's a small arena. It's not an intimate affair. That's what ECW was. So back to like that concept of grit. Like I agree with that. I don't but I don't know that Vince McMahon likes grit. The guy doesn't like sneezing, for God's sakes.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And honestly, that's actually been my number one criticism of WWE, NXT, 205 Live, NXT UK, all of them, is they almost feel too pretty sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, like I was kind of hoping when they did the NXT UK brand that it was going to feel a little more like rebellious, a little more like, you know, cool video packages or like vignette type things or outside stuff, you know, like where they're doing stuff in the UK, but that's not really what I see on the show.
You know, you can credit say the Attitude Era was gritty and stuff like that, but if like a real show that had a lot of grit was Shotgun Saturday Night. Like that show was like when they were shooting
see the escalators.
Yeah, like I mean there were elements of that where I was like, damn, this is like a real weird presentation of wrestling.
I didn't really watch the early days of Shotgun Saturday Night.
Yeah.
And I've been watching them on the Monsoon Classic YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And I was just watching them this week, actually. Did you watch most of Shotgun Saturday Night? Are you pretty knowledgeable on it?
I'm somewhat knowledgeable of it.
Did they do that the whole time with the like weird fun facts underneath their name?
I can't remember that out.
Because like I was watching a match and it was Dan Severn versus G.I. Bro.
Yeah.
And not Booker T. G.I. Bro, but another guy named G.I. Bro. And
there's a lot of them.
When G.I. Bro came out, he had like a factoid underneath him that said likes to play with action figures. And then when Dan Severn came out, it said favorite movie, Beauty and the Beast. And I was like, what are these weird fun facts? And I saw him on a few of them, and I was like, here, I'll show you. It says favorite movie, Beauty and the Beast.
Why?
Right there, because that wasn't like a thing they did on a lot of them.
I saw it when you posted.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so I'm glad that wasn't like a thing they always did. I only saw it on a couple of them when I was clicking through. I think it was like the really, really like first few Shotgun Saturday Nights.
I mean, I think the one that everybody recalls is like Triple H getting tombstone and going down the escalator. You know, like that.
Yeah.
But
that one that's from like a legit mall.
Yeah.
I think it was from Penn Station. Actually, I think it was from a train station.
Oh, okay.
But regardless, like and I'm not saying that they need to do
Put
shows
SmackDown in a train station.
But the thing was,
that would disrupt so much business.
I know. Hey, if you were in a wrestling fan, you'd be so pissed off. You're like, what is this dead-looking person doing, slamming this blue blood down
I feel like
the
that would
escalator?
take up a good chunk of Penn Station.
New Yorkers would be pissed at people like blocking the escalator.
That's
like
what I'm
that.
saying.
Yeah, but I hope that Bischoff can inject some of that because I do think that is something that is very much missing from the equation in wrestling right now.
On both ends, to be honest.
Absolutely. And I think it's something that AEW will, even though it's going to look good, I think the gritty factor is something they kind of are already doing with like being the elite type stuff or whatever. So, and not, it's more jokey than gritty, but like in terms of like being renegade style, you know, I think they kind of have that more down. Even some of the promos you see on the Road to whatever's, you know, like Adam Page this week, and it was like, it's funny, they're doing phone promos, but it looks real. It looks better because it's an actual phone promo and not like a camera where they're putting their hand next to it to make it look like a hand, like a cell phone promo like they were doing in WWE.
I mean, because you could tell that. I mean, like as great as Joey's promo was, like in terms of like everything about it was. I mean, like everything about like what was said and all that stuff was good. You could tell that some parts like was being filmed, like just him talking to the camera. It was clearly not a WWE TV camera. Of
course,
you know, like it's. But this latest one they put out with Joey and Dean, the one that came out this morning.
They put a new one out this morning that I didn't see? Oh, damn.
Oh, well.
What happened in it?
It's
been a busy. It's been a little busy today.
Dean, or John Moxley's watching just a bunch. It looks like remember when The Miz came out in his entrance for his championship match at WrestleMania? Like he's watching a bunch of TV screens.
Vaguely.
When he challenged, when he defended against John Cena, and The Rock was.
Oh yeah.
And then it was to you can hate me now with Nas.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little like that.
Okay. I didn't see, when did I miss this? I don't see it on their channel.
It's on TNT's channel too.
All right, maybe I've seen it. Maybe it was from an older one and it got singled out.
I don't know. It's from first I saw it was this morning.
Okay, I'll have to go back and watch
But
it.
it's cool. But anyway,
I like the Adam Page that won this week when he was like, he said something like, "Oh, you're talking shit about horses. If you don't like horses, then fuck you," or whatever. And I was like, that's so random, but I loved it.
That's become part of his thing now. It's like even MJF made fun of him about it. He's like, I like horses.
Okay, so one of the last tidbits.
That's his gimmick.
On this, I know, I love it. One of the last tidbits on here was I was also told from a source at least that because I was asked if the ultimate goal of this move is to allow Vince McMahon the ability to step back a little bit, possibly in preparation for the XFL relaunch. And I was told that this does not have anything to do with the XFL, and that if the ultimate plan here is to be able to take a step back, then like it's not super known. Like it's obviously it depends on what happens type thing. Like we're gonna have to wait and see type thing.
I don't buy it. Like, I mean, how could it not be connected to that? You know,
I felt the same way.
It would definitely make life a lot easier.
That's like them saying that, you know, them planning events the same day as AEW events is just a coincidence.
And
like,
also,
no, it's not.
And also, think about this schedule. Say he did stay focused on everything. Say he did.
Yeah.
That's. I don't give a shit how much of an alpha male you are. You can't do. Your body can't do that.
The time doesn't allow you to do all this.
Especially in your late 70s.
Like, it's just like...
Dude's going to be 80 in a few years.
Yeah, like, it's just like there are not... Like, I mean, there's a popular phrase, there's just not enough hours in the day for somebody to run two massive organizations like that. Like, unless they are taking a major step back.
And he doesn't sleep. So he has added like
he's
extra
super
hours.
hands-on. Like,
yeah.
He's super controlling. I mean, he's a control freak. And I don't say that as an insult. I mean, he's clearly taken his company to the point that it's at right now and everything like that. But he's not like, you know, Bob Iger or somebody like that who's got, you know, helps make major decisions but isn't involved in the day-to-day operations of Star Wars or Pixar, though,
Very
too.
true. Very true. Like, that's a...
He does need a transition to be more like that. That is how he needs
does
to be.
need to entrust more people to do things for him.
Especially if he wants to work till he's dead.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to ensure that to happen, or at least to make it longer.
Well, yeah.
My opinion?
To work longer before.
He doesn't need to be on the road for every show. My opinion.
That's what I'm wondering, and we're gonna obviously as time progresses, we're gonna find out.
Chill in Connecticut, and he could have a live feed to the. The TV studio does it all the time. He can have a live feed to Monday Night Raw, and he could be talking to Kevin Dunn and whoever the fuck.
In the production meeting, a big TV screen with Vince's face at the same hours that he has now from his home. He doesn't have to go on the road
Dude
for all
needs
that.
to sleep.
He does. You mentioned the whole
He
booking.
wouldn't look like he's about to cry all the time now. His eyes get really puffy now.
So you mentioned the booking of shows on the same day as AEW shows. So I want to kind of transition into that topic before we go to the Seth Rollins stuff, because man, I found this interesting this week. You know, a few weeks ago they announced that NXT UK Takeover was going to be on the same day as All Out, and at the time Triple H had said, merely a coincidence. We've had this booked for a while.
Merely a coincidence.
Nothing to do with any of our competitors. You know, when
which could have been true.
Which could have been
true. These guys
true.
get their dates very early.
Even though it was very rumored that they were going to go back to Chicago on the same date a year later for All Out or whatever the follow-up to All In was. That was very evident that was going to happen for a long time. So it's not like they didn't know that there were huge rumblings that was going to happen. Just want to say that much. But then, and also, you know, when there was the throne smashing thing, which was before that, you know, it was asked of Triple H what he thought about it during a media call, and he said, like, oh, I'm not worried about what other people are doing. I'm not worried about the creative of other people. And now it's been taken to the next level. This week it was first reported by The Wrap and later confirmed by WWE that WWE Network is going to air a live Evolve special on the WWE Network. It's going to be a show that features many current WWE and NXT superstars, and it's the 10th anniversary of Evolve. But it's taking place on the same day and time as AEW's All Out. So
coincidence.
Or sorry, Fight for the Fallen. Sorry, Fight
coincidence.
for the Fallen. And now it's like, okay, you can't tell me these things are coincidences now.
No, there's no way they are. There's no way. I'm sorry, but things can't fall at the exact same day at the exact same time, or even on the same day. You know, and
there can't be that many coincidences.
like it's just no. I'm sorry. It's just like that's like. Yeah, there's no way.
And you know what? It's an interesting play because they know who they're targeting. Because if they scheduled just a WWE show that same day, it would have people would probably pick whatever the AEW show is, and that's why they're like, okay, they're indie marks, so we need to get every indie guy we have now on retainer and put them on our network at the same time.
Akira Tozawa versus Adam Cole, Drew Gulak versus Matt Riddle, and
plus all the Evolve guys.
Yeah, I know. No, you're right. No, you're 100% right. Yeah, absolutely. And
it's like smart on their part to pick those shows. At first, I was like, those aren't the same caliber. I mean, at first on paper, you're like, they're throwing B shows, C shows in some cases, at their at the AEW's A show.
I think it's
which doesn't make sense.
D shows even.
Yeah, which at first doesn't make sense. But then you're like, okay, what's the alternative? Oh, they have SmackDown or Stomping Grounds the same time, and it's like, oh, okay, the choice is obvious there. And,
yeah.
It's funny because I like. If you look back at like the history of like whenever WCW is launching Monday Nitro, WWE did not really take it seriously, and this is the exact opposite. This time they're like, hey, even before you really begin, we are going to take so many shots at you that you never get started.
Like, and it's also too, it's like, we've been through this war once.
Yeah.
We have that edge on us.
We have money.
And now we've got so much more money. Yeah, exactly.
We're going to take you down before you even get started.
We could have some of you killed.
We could have some of you killed.
We are that rich.
Hello, Saudi Prince.
No.
Too far.
Too far. I think the one of the things that people were really kind of like driving home in their anger over this announcement, the people who were angry about it. Me personally, I felt like,
why would anybody be angry? Shit is on demand now. Just watch one and then watch the other one afterwards.
Yeah.
What is the issue?
Don't scream into the microphone.
I like it.
That one guy all those guys who write me, they get so mad when Jamie screams into the microphone.
Hey, write to me.
Wait. What were you screaming about right there?
I said I don't understand why people are acting it's going to affect. They're like, well, I gotta watch one or the other.
So agreed. That in 2019, it's not.
I don't know how to set. I don't know how to set my VCR still.
I saw someone tweeted saying like, some of y'all never had to set 2 VCRs at once to watch Raw and Nitro and shows. And I was like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Or stay up till like the 11 o'clock replay or whatever, 12 o'clock replay of Nitro.
But okay, here's I think the thing that people did seem to be soured on is the fact that AEW's show is a charity event.
Yeah.
AEW, the proceeds of this show benefit victims of gun violence.
Yeah. Kenneth Omega.
Yes.
Had some words.
He did. But here's the thing, and before we talk about Kenny Omega's thing, well, I'll just say what he said. Kenny Omega tweeted yesterday, and he said, if lining your pockets of blood money is okay, then what's wrong with trying to undermine a charity show for victims of gun violence? I hear that healthy competition is supposed to be a good thing, and yet I can't help but feel like I'm going to be sick. And then about 30 minutes later, he deleted the tweet. Here's my question to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
If Fight for the Fallen is airing for free, then they're not like taking money away from a charity or anything like that. So it's not like is it as dick as people were making it sound when you're not really taking money out of a charity's pocket for this?
Maybe money isn't the right word. Maybe publicity, like, notoriety
Energy
of the charity, like just the opportunity for that charity to gain traction, to potentially gain new eyeballs, to potentially gain new people to donate.
Okay.
Not saying that, that everybody who watches that show would do those things, but in some ways, yeah, I can see it, but you have to stretch for it too.
And what's really interesting is that and what was the show that was booked the same day as Fight for the Fallen?
Evolve's 10th anniversary show.
Yes, and it's, I mean, like you just said, the only real people that would have an effect on would be the people attending.
That's what I would think.
And the tickets are already bought.
That's what I was thinking.
For Fight for the Fallen. Attention, publicity, energy, 100%.
Yes,
100%. And Kenny is really not
passionate.
Yes, passionate is the word, not emotional. He's passionate, and he thinks with his heart. And at first you're like, because obviously this one hits. This one means something to them.
Yeah.
This one, I mean, they championed that it was for charity way long ago. Like
first-
it was
that
one of the
first press conference,
It
I
was one of
think,
the
yeah.
first things they said. And when you're, I mean, as confident as these guys are, as confident as they are, and I'm sure they are, there is no chance that none of them are having just this little, like, we're not a doubt, but hope that we can do this. You know, there's always going to be doubt with the unknown. You know, especially in this case when none of them have really done this before. Well, I mean, like the main roster guys, and so something like that would set somebody off, especially when you're already on edge about this kind of thing, and that's just being human.
Of course,
you know?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's got a lot riding on this.
Yes,
they all do.
And I would be taken aback. I don't know if I think that's why he deleted it. Maybe he didn't word it correctly. He's speaking from the heart. People don't often do that.
Yeah,
I mean, speaking from personal experiences.
I definitely think that in a moment of anger, he tweeted, which many of us tend to do, and I think afterwards he was kind of like, I didn't. All these people are gonna just like I bet you his.
Yeah.
But I bet you the main thing is his replies were probably just atrocious. Like,
Yeah.
imagine looking at his replies at that point, just like everybody just throwing their 2 cents in and just being a whole mosh posh of outrage. Like, yeah, I can see that being annoying for sure. I actually, it's tough. Both these shows look really good. Well, there's only really a few handful of matches for both, but I mean, like, Akira Tozawa versus Adam Cole sounds dope for the NXT title. Riddle versus Drew Gulak sounds awesome, and Fight for the Fallen, Cody and Dustin Rhodes versus the Young Bucks is like one of the matches I'm looking forward to the most coming up.
And that's another point that I was about to say. I don't think that I forgot to say this earlier. Is I don't think that really at this point, especially in the next few months, that WWE's audience and AEW's audience is too mishmashed together yet.
Oh, they are.
I don't think entirely.
Not entirely, but I mean, like, they.
Like I do. I'm not saying that just because one watches one doesn't watch the other. That's not what I'm saying. I do think a lot of there are AEW fans who are WWE fans as well. 100%.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, I think the people that are going to go to the WWE show are going to go to the WWE show, and the people who are like they haven't had to choose sides.
That makes
really
sense. Yeah.
yet.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
will maybe. I don't know yet, but. They haven't had to yet.
Yeah.
They still have their audience, and they're going to keep it for at least a few more months.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. Man, it's gonna be interesting. It's funny, it's. I feel like I'm actually watching someone play chess in real life. Like, it's not like with real people and real companies, and like, it's crazy.
It's what would have happened if 20 years ago this shit happened and there was the internet.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Well, the internet was around, but not.
But not
in
social
its-
media. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, social media.
But I feel like I'm watching Game of Thrones play out, in the wrestling world of like they're putting their pawns out. They're like NXT UK,
Absolutely.
NXT, then Evolve.
You gotta
we got
feel
that
bad
one,
for,
and then
like-
we'll put
I don't feel-
ICW this
If
day.
there's one thing I don't feel is bad for anybody involved in
No,
this.
this is great.
I
Wrestling,
do feel bad
like.
for Impact considering they're losing the network.
There was another one of those. The Simpson memes have been killing it. Like over the scene where he's like, "You love Mole Man, you love Mole Man, nobody loves Mole Man." It's like AEW's better, WWE's better, and it's nobody thinks Impact is better.
I do, yeah. Impact is definitely the biggest casualty of this war right now, for sure. I mean, Ring of Honor is they're hanging in. They're doing they're trying.
Ring of Honor is Ring of Honor.
Yeah, they're always. You're right, exactly.
Like
They're
Ring of
gonna
Honor
always
is
be Ring of Honor.
they're a distant third. and
Always.
They probably always will be.
And New Japan, they're fighting tough. They're hanging in there. G1 looks dope.
Yeah, they got some good shit going on.
Good shit going on.
There was a little bit of a period, like the initial. I'm not saying this is any knock to Jay White, but the initial rise of Jay White period was a little like. Because I didn't know if he could do it because it was so early in his career. But now that he's proven himself, he could do it, and he's carried the Bullet Club for a few months now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got my interest again. I mean, John Moxley going there really certainly did it, and but I find myself because there was a good period of time where I was not logging into New Japan World for a little bit.
Yeah, no, I fell out for a little,
very little bit. Yes.
But I'm big. Everything going on right now has fully got me invested again. I like all the stuff with Will Ospreay's just been killing it right now, and that's actually why I wanted to segue into that because
wow, you're getting good at this.
I know, right?
You've had some good segues today.
I'm getting good, guys. What can I say? It only took me 4.5 years.
Yeah.
Seth Rollins and Will Ospreay were in a little thing this week, and it all began with Seth Rollins tweeting saying, best pro wrestling on the planet, period, in regards to WWE. And just started to, that tweet alone has 4,000 replies to it. So I'm sure he was just getting hit up like crazy.
And the timing of it was so funny. Right
before Stomping Grounds.
Yes.
And then he said the next day, doubling down, best pro wrestling on the planet, see that cruiserweight triple threat, and that's just one night.
Did anybody see it?
One match amongst the many. I did. It was good. It was a good
Not
match.
to knock. I heard it was great. I'm
it
just
really
saying,
was
like,
good.
They don't promote the shit out of those matches at all.
Find anyone else alive who does what I do as well as I do it as often as I do it. You can't. And then Will Ospreay quote tweeted that and said, "I'm alive," indicating that he is on that level. And this is where things started to get a little bit dramatic. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry, little guy. We already have a better version of you here, and he just won his first U.S. title tonight. Congrats, Ricochet. Keep working hard, though, buddy." And Ospreay.
It's a pretty obnoxious thing to say.
It's a very Seth Rollins thing to say.
It's Seth Rollins' current face run. It's very, very in line with
On
that.
brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very on brand with his heelish face.
I mean, it makes sense for him to be confident in himself. It was a little weird to be like, Ricochet is better than you, regardless of if that's accurate or not. It does seem a little unfair, you know? And I do think, while the United States title is more of a famous title in the United States, obviously, than WWE's, company, I do think that the junior heavyweight title does hold a little bit more prominence.
I mean, U.S. title is not that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's not like it's not a very prestigious title or anything like that.
And they've tried.
And also,
go back.
Cena had it, and it was Cena. There's been some great U.S. champions. Cena,
absolutely.
Miz, Kevin Owens.
I just don't think it's as prestigious as
Go back 5 champions right now.
And
Can
also,
you do it?
No.
And
No,
also,
of course not.
Booker T was one, I'm sure.
Wait, go back 5 U.S. champions?
Yeah.
Okay, let me try. Wait, we got Ricochet, Samoa Joe, Rey Mysterio.
Who did he beat?
Samoa Joe before that. Does that count if I do it twice like that?
Sure.
And who did Samoa Joe beat? I'm gonna say
R-Truth.
Shinsuke Nakamura.
Maybe.
You don't even know, and you're so good at that too.
So prestigious.
Wait, now I kind of want to see United States title.
The point is like even if you didn't even
Here's
if
the reigns are. Hold on. It's Ricochet. Oh, was R-Truth? You were right.
Really?
Yeah. And right before that was Nakamura.
When he said it, we laughed, and I was like, but it may be that.
And then before that was Nakamura, so I was one off. And I was going to say Rusev, but Rusev was right before that. Oh, so close.
Wow,
And
I can't
you
believe
did it by accident,
I know,
you motherfucker.
That's awesome.
R-Truth. You just threw out R-Truth.
I literally just
You said that all off, not even meaning to get it right. Oh, you bastard.
How great was he on Raw, by the way? Or was it SmackDown? Where he did
Both.
No, Miz TV.
That was Raw.
Well, when he was, what did he say?
With the constipation stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
That whole thing.
Who would have thought that this 24/7 title would turn into one of the better storylines that they've had?
Well,
I saw one of the people who works at WWE. I forget the exact title, but he's someone who works, I think, in social or something.
Yeah.
He tweeted saying that, I think he said in total, all the 24/7 title content has already encompassed over 50 million views across all their social media.
And I'm going to be clear. I still stand by the fact that it is an ugly belt.
Yeah, for sure.
But it kind of, so was the hardcore title, and you never forget it.
But it was supposed
Different
to be
kind
ugly.
of ugly. Yes.
It was supposed to be ugly.
Maybe this one's supposed to be ugly, too.
For what purpose?
It's green.
48-7 European Championship.
It's fucking green, dude.
It's fucking green, dude.
That's all you got to say.
But back to what we were talking about with the Will Ospreay thing. I feel like I think Ricochet's great. He's one of my favorite wrestlers.
Yeah.
And Seth Rollins is great too. Seth Rollins put a ton of good matches. But I think it was a little unfair to say some of the things that he said to Will Ospreay, because in my opinion, Will Ospreay versus Shingo is definitely the best match of the year so far.
Yeah.
I was blown away by it, and he is on that caliber. I mean, Will Ospreay has transformed himself.
Yeah.
You know, I was talking about Rocky Romero in an interview this week, and Rocky Romero was saying that he feels like Will Ospreay is one of the top 5 in the world right now, and I kind of agree. I mean, Will Ospreay is working on another level right now, and his matches are
absolutely
awesome.
And you know what? It's always. I mean, yeah, it's true, but it always is whack to me whenever somebody has to throw in money.
So I was just going to say that. So Will Ospreay said, fact of the day, Will Ospreay wrestled more matches in 2019 than Seth Rollins. Catch up, little guy. And Seth Rollins said, I mean, if you want to talk numbers, we can compare bank accounts too. P.S. That's counting a month off with a broken back, buddy.
I mean, it's...
Okay, I know that you feel that way, but also...
Like I said, it's true, but...
I think... Because I feel like everyone took it as like him being like, well, I'm richer than you type thing, right? Which is kind of what he was saying.
Yeah, what else would it be?
But also he was saying more along the lines of like, okay, if we're on the level of wrestled the same matches and wrestled the same level, well, I'm way richer than you, so you're still not on my level. Back up. And that kind of is true, no?
Yeah, there's a layer of arrogance to it though that's not likable. You know, like, and I guess that's like the point is like this dude's the Universal Champion and he's being like casted as a face.
And to be fair, whenever and to me, the reason why it rubbed me wrong is not so much that he sounded like a dick saying it. Yes, he did, but it's more so that it's literally the same argument everybody always says whenever WWE is compared to New Japan. Yeah. Everybody across the board, they always say the same thing.
Well, it's a fallback argument for people who've got no other leg to stand on, though, too. It's like, well, I got more money than you.
Yeah, I mean, like WWE is like, well, they're going to do 93,000
like,
people. It's like, well,
okay, but also just to play devil's advocate here,
which you're really good at.
I mean, he's not wrong though.
No, like I didn't say he was.
He's what he said is factually.
Before I even started, I said he's not wrong. He's right.
But like when you say he like that was his only leg to stand on at a certain point when you get
it's
when you kind of like have your back to the wall type of thing. Yes, but it also ends the conversation when you have to do that because there's nothing anyone can say to that at that point.
Sure, but it's a cheap shot to me. It is. I mean, in a world of doing this shit back and forth, because like you just said, it deads the conversation. In a world where doing that kind of thing is dope, you know, like in professional wrestling, having this back and forth with other talent is good for the business. It's good for everybody involved. And why would you just want to just kill it like that? Yeah. You know, it gets.
I agree with you guys. I'm more just playing devil's advocate.
It gets personal then. It gets personal then, and I don't even think Seth Rollins and Will Ospreay have ever met each other, let alone. Like,
well, I think there's that picture of Seth Rollins. I think there's a picture of Seth Rollins watching Will Ospreay wrestle at PWG, like from the back curtain or whatever.
Maybe they have.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
But I don't see. I mean, it's like
factual accuracy of financial matters means nothing to me because you could look at certain.
It defines success a little bit.
Yeah, but it doesn't. But that doesn't define moral fiber to me, though. Too.
Well, this is a moral fiber conversation.
No, for sure.
Though.
But it's like you could look. I mean, the CEO of a tobacco company could be like, "Well, we're making a lot of money still, so clearly people still like smoking cigarettes." And it's like, well, so you're still killing people. That doesn't mean that you're a good person. That doesn't.
Rollins killing people.
That's such an extreme comparison.
No, I know it is.
I understand the analogy, though.
Like the amount of like numbers in a bank account is meaningless to me at a certain point because it's like as a bragatory like notion. It's just like no, like if you truly want legs to stand on, like. Get in the ring, or like challenge him to a fight or something like that.
I don't know. And maybe the funny thing is,
I got more money, so yeah. It's like meet in an alley and fight already. Stop talking on social media and actually go outside and fight each other.
That doesn't happen.
The Dean Bates method.
Go out to the schoolyard after the bell rings.
That never happens anymore, man.
I know the old West.
People just fighting.
That's why the old West was a better time. Just go outside and duel. Whichever one of you better will walk away.
Like the back-to-back duels.
Oh, they didn't do that in the old West. It was draw.
Oh, okay.
No, but I'm now with the same. I'm now with the back-to-back.
Hey, WWE's in Singapore right now. That's not too far.
Yeah.
I'm just saying they should just go meet up and just have it out.
Yeah. Have a slap.
Over a volcano.
Oh man, that would be so sweet. A plank over a volcano, an active one.
How many flippy shits can you do on here?
I was saying I really want Will Ospreay and Tama Tonga and like the other New Japan guys to show up to the Japan show, the WWE Japan show, and just like sit front row like the old XPW guys did at ECW show back in the day. But then Tama Tonga like shut that one down real fast and was like, "We got better things to do," and I was like, "Oh, damn, that would have been cool."
Do you?
He said they're going to be like in Sydney or something like that. He used it as a promotional tool.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see it.
Just to be clear, I don't think that Seth Rollins is as bad as a CEO of a tobacco company.
Good. Okay.
It's a bad analogy, but you see where I'm coming from.
That would have really hurt his feelings.
I 100% get it. I used a really extreme analogy with someone recently. They were like, "You can't do that," and I was like, "I was just trying to paint a picture, and I know that it's not that bad." So I did that recently too. Mine was so bad I don't even want to say it.
It's not as bad as tobacco company. Sorry, Seth.
I did like what he said to Wade Keller. Wade Keller quote tweeted the "I'm sorry, little guy" stuff and said, "This isn't a good tone at all if he wants to get people who love good wrestling, regardless of brand, to feel goodwill towards WWE's strengths and its vocal leader. Buddy, little guy, disappointing and character-defining condescension. This is heel Corbin promo content." And Seth Rollins said, "I don't care about goodwill, Wade. I care about respect. And if some kid who thinks he's got it all figured out wants to step to me, then he's going to get patted on the head and sent on his way."
Didn't Jericho say something like, "He's bigger than you," though?
He did say, he did point that out, yes.
Yeah.
And also, then Will Ospreay made it into a T-shirt.
2 of them.
Yeah.
I also liked on Raw when Jericho was tweeting about something. Oh, the tug of war.
Yeah,
he said the
he
tug
said
of war.
The best wrestling in the world. With the Lashley Braun Strowman tug of war.
But man, gotta say, guys, we do the show a lot. And this week was... I thought it was going to be a slow week on Monday. This was a crazy week.
Yeah.
This was one of the craziest
and
weeks.
And it's only going to get better.
I know. I've been saying the same thing like, dude, this is only... We still got 3 months till October or whatever. I think that's 3 months. I'm not looking up top. I'm pretty sure it's like 3 months.
Starts.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
When the TV starts, you think it's just going to go away?
No, I guess you're right. When 3 months is just not even the
This is the prelims,
apex
dude.
of things. Yeah, you're right. This is the kickoff show.
Winter hasn't come yet.
Oh man.
Game of Thrones.
It's gonna be.
I get it.
Oh, winter hasn't come yet. I think
Yeah.
you said the winter hasn't come yet, and I was like, it's gonna be a long time before we get to that. But winter is definitely coming. Winter is.
Yeah,
certainly...
it's that level. It's that stage right now, where like we've seen some shit, but the White Walkers haven't even gotten here yet. There ain't even dragons yet.
No.
It's just Bruce Pritchard and all the other 90s guys, Jeff Jarrett and all them riding a big white dragon into battle. I like it. Jamie, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at JAMIE_IOVINE or on Instagram at JAMIEIOVINE every Sunday. See us at the Ocean View Pavilion for some Championship Wrestling from Hollywood action, or every other Sunday, I'm sorry. And every weekend on Fight for free. You don't need to pay anything to watch it, so that's good. And the other channels such as Memphis and so on and so forth. And obviously check in every day for some new stuff on Network and TWRK on the app, our Instagram, and on the website. We do a few raffles a week. We do a few drops a week, exclusive items you can't that are either early or you can't find anywhere else. And also we instituted our new raffle system. Items that have value upwards of $30,000 to $50,000. You could buy, if you win the raffle, you could buy it for only $100. It's $100 to enter, and if you don't win, you get the $100 back, obviously. And those are daily. So,
wow. Can you just give me the $50,000 one?
The what?
The $50,000 one?
I give it to you? No,
yeah, just give it to me.
When we instituted the raffle, there was a big letter to everybody from our legal person that says we cannot mess with this raffle at all. And so it was very clear that
you guys had a big week this week, right?
Yeah, we had a pretty big week. We just announced our new partnership with Live Nation and Drake.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I actually didn't even see. I was so busy the past 2 days, I didn't even see it. And Mark here was like, "Dude, Drake and Live Nation," and I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah,
and then I saw it on the internet.
And we also announced our move into the live space, the live experience space.
Nice.
What's that?
Pretty much. I don't want to give too much away because we haven't done it yet, and I don't want anybody to take it.
Just tell me after.
Okay, yeah.
Just tell me after.
But there's an
I don't
article,
want to get you in trouble with your
There's an
peeps.
article out about it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Can you briefly say what it is without messing things up?
Yeah, it's just physical experiences.
Okay, cool. I think you kind of mentioned some of the ideas that you guys had wanted to do in the past. That's cool. Eli, where can people find you at?
I'm sorry.
Twitter at Elijah Bates. Instagram at Brindlebeard.
ProWrestlingSheet.com. That's the website where you can find all the top stories in the world of professional wrestling throughout the week. At Wrestling Sheet on social media. YouTube.com/C/Wrestling Sheet. That's where the videos go. You can find the Raw and SmackDown recaps that I do with John Roca. You get to find Wrestling Sheet Radio every week on Thursday evening, Friday morning here with these two fellas. Also, I have an interview with Rocky Romero up where we talked about these Seth Rollins tweets about Seth Rollins, about Will Ospreay, like I was saying. We talk about the upcoming G1 Climax tournament. We talk about his old days training with Daniel Bryan and Samoa Joe in the LA dojo out here for New Japan. Lots of fun stuff in the interview. Make sure you guys check it out. YouTube.com/C/Wrestling Sheet. While you're there, make sure you subscribe, like, comment on the videos. I do my best to respond to the good ones, so keep up the action on there. I appreciate it a lot. But if you just want to listen to the audio, if you're driving, working out, whatever, go check it out on all the biggest podcast platforms. That's on Podcast One, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, all those stores. Just search Wrestling Sheet Radio. Okay, that's it. We're done. Officially tapping out for now. Until next time, stay out of the dirt and keep your eye on the sheet.